everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Fashion Grunge podcast. I am your host, Lauren, and today I have a super special guest with me. I've got my friend Charles here.
Hi.
Yes, we are so excited. I'm really stoked to finally do an episode because we've been friends for so long and we talk about movies and TV shows all the time. So this is great that we get to do an episode. I'm really excited. Are you stoked?
Yeah, I am too.
Nice. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about Fear, the 1996 film starring Reese Witherspoon and Mark Wahlberg, directed by James Foley.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if people know the film. It's basically like, apparently it's been described as a fatal attraction for teens.
Yeah.
And,
So would you consider this a horror movie?
I don't think it's horror. I think it's definitely thriller and suspense because it's not very gory. The most gory part is with the dog.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the most gory. I know, the most gory bit. I know. But I don't think it's horror. I think it's definitely like a high ratcheted thriller.
Yeah.
Like almost like an erotic thriller though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It sort of reminds me of like a Fatal Attraction type storyline, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Wait, so what are your first thoughts on it? Like, when did you first see this movie?
So I remember. So this movie was released on April 12th, 1996.
Wow,
and
we were babes.
I know. So I guess we would have both been about like 12 going on 13.
Yeah, I definitely didn't see this when it came out.
And so I did not see this movie in the theater. However, I became interested in it because I guess like a few years ago, Bravo did this really like cool countdown of like the top 100 scariest moments in like horror, and so it was called the it was sort of like an MTV kind of, you know, like countdown.
Yeah, like those 90. They used to do it for like the music videos.
Yeah,
they just did it for movies. Yeah.
And so I sort of became interested in seeing this movie, and so I can't remember when I first saw it, but I'm pretty sure I probably rented the disc on Netflix back when like getting DVDs on Netflix was a thing. So,
which you can still do, I think. There's still isn't there still a mail away system?
I don't know. I think so.
Yeah, I think there is. Like, if you really want to get films that they just will not stream, I think they still do have a lot of. I mean, I'm sure they still have some DVDs. They have to.
I mean,
that's weird.
Yeah.
Shout out if you're still on the DVD mail plan on Netflix, drop me a line on Twitter because I'm really curious to know, like, what are you renting if you're on the disc plan? I want to know what's in your queue, like what's coming up. Remember when you used to reorder the queue? Like, you'd get it in the mail and you're like, oh shit, I have a day to reorder it, otherwise the next one's just gonna come.
God, reordering your Netflix queue was like such a big deal, and it just became so stressful sometimes.
It really did. It was like the MySpace top 8. We were like, oh, what do I want to watch next? Do I want to watch disc 1 of Dawson's Creek season 3, or do I want to skip to disc 3 because that's where shit gets real?
Yeah, and and then I'd be like, well, okay, so I might start with like this movie, but then I feel like I don't know, because like I tend to go through like phases. So, like, there was a phase a while back when I was really into like fucked up movies about nuns, and so
There's so many.
I know, right? And so I like had a list of like 10 in a row, and I was like, maybe I should break this up a bit. So so in between of Agnes of God and black narcissists, I'd be like, I'm gonna watch the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
That's so funny. And they're always like heists too.
Yeah,
always like nuns like pulling heists and stuff. So that's so interesting. So then so you rented it after it was. You're just mentioning it was on Bravo recently, but you'd already seen it though. When they talked about it on Bravo.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this movie when I was like 16 or 17, and it was on TV, like on Fox. Like, you know how they would
Oh,
play
really?
movies on like Monday night?
Yeah,
Like, they
yeah.
would just have it on from like 8 to 10, and it was definitely edited.
Hmm.
Like, it wasn't like, they didn't swear and they didn't have like some scenes in it, but like, you got the gist of it. And I saw it, and then obviously Mark Wahlberg and Reese Witherspoon were already like pretty massive stars at that
Yeah,
point. But I was like, oh, cool, this looks cool. This was like one of those like movies they did not too long ago. And I was like, whoa, this movie's cool. I mean, I was young. I guess I didn't take it obviously that seriously. I was just like, oh, this is really cool, whatever. And yeah, and then I have it on DVD. So I mean, I do enjoy it. It's one of my
yeah, yeah.
favorite
It's good.
90s films. Yeah,
Good.
but yeah, I mean, I didn't have it on tape though, so it's not like I've had it for like a long time. But yeah, so I saw it like well after it was out, and it was on TV, and then I rented it obviously and saw like the full like non-edited version of it.
Mhm.
But it's really weird. I'm just trying to think. I have some notes about Mark Wahlberg at this time had only been in this film called Renaissance Man and Basketball Diaries, which eventually I'm going to cover on the podcast sometime because it's another one of my favorite films. So, but those two films were in the can already, so he hadn't been in
Oh,
anything leading yet. And apparently, what happened, like we touched on that this just before we were recording, was that Leo was up for this film, I believe, and he didn't do it. And he was like, "Hey, you should use Mark Wahlberg." And then that kind of like, I mean, I have more notes on that, but
yes,
essentially, he hadn't been in anything.
yes, I heard the same thing. And I believe that Reese Witherspoon's career was like relatively new. Like,
Mhm.
had she done anything like big by this point?
Did she do Highway yet? When was
Um,
Highway? Was that like
oh
when
yeah,
was
Freeway.
Oh,
Was
Freeway, that's it. Yeah,
yeah,
Highway's that one with Jared Leto and Jake Gyllenhaal.
yeah. I want to say that was '93, but I could be wrong.
96, same
Oh, okay,
year.
okay, okay.
That's another great one that we should totally review.
I love that movie. It's like
Yeah, yeah. It's really good. That's and like Brittany Murphy, like it's a okay,
yeah,
that's on the list. We
that
do
movie is so
Freeway.
batshit insane.
Yeah, it really is. And it's weird because Reese Witherspoon, when she first started out, because I just reviewed the Doom Generation and Nowhere with Jai,
Mm,
and what it was so weird because those both have well, Rose McGowan's like a cameo in Nowhere, but she's in Doom Generation, and it seems like Reese Witherspoon's early careers and early films are very much like Rose McGowan, like badass girl, like kind of psycho, but like very like 90s sweet girl at first,
yeah,
but like kind of weird, and then also like innocent, a bit more innocent than Rose McGowan though. But
yeah.
but still, she had that kind of like half bad girl, half not.
Because
Then she met Ryan.
I guess after this movie, she ended up doing like Pleasantville and then
Yeah.
Election. Like,
Hmm. She has a
after
really
that.
interesting career.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she's really gone. I mean, her early stuff is really good. It's like kind of underrated how
Yeah,
good her early stuff is. And yeah, so Wahlberg was essentially kind of unknown, and the other two films hadn't been out yet. So Fear was like his first thing that was going to be leading, and no one, they kind of took a chance on him because they didn't know how well it was going to be perceived because people knew him as Marky Mark. So
yeah.
they were kind of like taking a chance, not like Basketball Diaries had come out and he got great reviews, which he was
So
great in Basketball Diaries. So
I have to confess, for a really long time, I didn't know that Marky Mark and Mark Wahlberg were the same person.
no way. When did you find out?
Like, embarrassingly recently. Like, I
Like
mean,
after Boogie Nights?
like,
Like even during Boogie Nights, you didn't know that was the same guy?
like, I'm pretty sure I was like in my 30s.
Oh my god! Wow, I had no idea. Yes,
um,
they are the same person.
so I think what confused me is that there during the '90s there is this movie called Cool Runnings about the
Hmm.
Jamaican bobsled team, and there was an actor in that movie named Dougie Doug, and for some reason I thought Marky Mark and Dougie Doug were like kind of
Related?
yeah, like I thought that Dougie Doug was like Marky. I don't know, but like so
No, totally not. They're totally different people. That's so funny. Wow. I didn't even know that you like thought that.
I mean
But yeah, he was. And there's also a really hilarious clip of Eminem at TRL in like the 90s. It might be like 99 or something because Eminem was like acting like a little shit and he was there. I think it was Carson Daly and Mark Wahlberg was there and he was sitting on the other side of Carson Daly and Eminem's just like, "Wow, we're all just like one big funky bunch." And he like said it in this like really kind of like sarcastic way. And Mark Wahlberg, like they just pan to him and the camera, and he's looking at him like he just wants to fucking jump him. Because he just seemed like so mad that he like kind of brought it up and like because he was a rapper, quote unquote, but like Eminem was like a real artist, and he was kind of like, oh yeah, like we're all like one big funky bunch, and then Carson's like, yeah, we're gonna go commercial, like something like really weird or something. I think I remember like
I think
that.
when it comes to Mark Wahlberg, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is that he is only 5'8".
Is he really? I think he's shorter than that.
Well, that's what his height says on like his IMDb page. But I talked to my mom about it, and she's always said that men under 5'10" always add 2 inches to their height.
Wait, how tall is your mom though?
She's like she's 5'11", but she says she's like
really
shrunk
tall.
within the last like few years. So
Yeah, age.
yeah.
I think you actually shrink like 2 inches. I'm in real trouble. You'll be fine. That's so funny that she said that. Wow. No, but I mean, he definitely, the one thing about him is that, like, his stature aside, I get that really makes him like this really intense actor.
Yeah.
So much the fact that you don't realize it, because I feel like you could tell. I mean, if it's a really obvious thing, but like his characters are always so strong.
Yes.
That
yes,
it just doesn't matter. Like, and even if he like, even in Boogie Nights when he's playing against Burt Reynolds, who was like relatively tall, like he just still. I mean, it works really well for him. It's never like been a hindrance for him,
Yeah.
And doesn't even like his roles aren't even. Like customized to his height. He still does like pretty much fucking anything, and he's so crazy ripped and cut.
Yeah.
Like he lifted Nicole's dad like several times, and he's a lot bigger and taller than him. And I was like, that's actually Mark Wahlberg. Like that's not a stunt person. Like putting him over his back and like lifting him and like throwing him against the house. Like in the end, I was like, damn, he's literally like picking him up and throwing him. Like he really is. I was like, holy shit.
I have to say, I was kind of hoping that like maybe he like would win that fight. Like I really don't like
David.
Yeah, I just really did not like Steve.
No, I didn't either. That dad was a dick. All right, we'll get into that. We're gonna go really we're gonna get off track here. We gotta like stick to the story because otherwise everyone's gonna be like, what are you talking about? So the only other note I have for first notes was that I was like, this film would be so problematic these days. Like the abuse and red flags are just like sprinkled throughout the entire film.
Yeah.
That I feel like now it's shown in just a different way. It's shown in a more like, I don't know. It's shown in a way more like hypersensitive way. Like if this film was to come out now, it depends on the story, but I feel like this one made it so realistic. But then in the beginning it was realistic, but then it just got like amplified and obviously turned to like a lot of violence, like even just property damage before they even started to like do anything physically with each other. Like it would just kind of open this whole can of worms. So I was like, yeah, obviously these days it's shot a lot differently, but it's interesting to see the same kind of theme in this film.
Yeah, and I feel that like people are a lot more educated about like like kind of like red flag behaviors. So like
it's true.
I guess like I don't know. I guess like this like sort of this like behavioral progression would probably get like stopped a lot more quickly at some point.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and it's weird too because in this situation. Well, yeah. Also, like, there are a lot of like weird things with the story too, like especially with Nicole and Margot's relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't seem like this friend is like looking out for her at all.
No,
like from the beginning.
No. I agree.
Strange.
Yeah, it's I always forget that Alyssa Milano is in this movie.
Yeah, like, I know.
Because it's just like the Mark and Reese, and then like those other people.
Mm-hmm.
So
the like C-level Jared Leto, who was their friend for like a hot minute at school.
Yeah,
Gary.
Yeah, I call him Captain Friendzone.
Oh wow, he is Captain Friendzone. Wow, that's a good one. Okay, I'm gonna go into behind the scenes so we can get into this plot because this plot is a fucking trip, man.
Okay.
This movie was made for $6.5 million in '96, which is pretty big, but it's pretty good. It made 20.8 million,
Ooh.
so that's good. It was kind of like a sleeper hit. They didn't really think it was going to be as big as it was. And James Foley, I believe, also recently directed 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, really?
If I'm not mistaken, I'm going to look this up right now. Yes, he did the last two 50 Shades.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty interesting. And he says in the quote that I have on my DVD menu, he said that Fear is a film about extremes. So he wanted to really play up like the extreme obsession, extreme passion, extreme fear, and all that kind of stuff. It said that Mark Wahlberg said about playing David that he welcomed the challenge, that he was like, it's really interesting how he can be so cool and smooth 1 minute and then just so wild the next. And it's like, at first it was this love and obsession, but then it kind of switches into he's trying to destroy everything in its path that's getting to what he wants.
Right.
And it doesn't even just become obsession anymore. It's more of like the destruction around it, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that sounds pretty
Yeah,
good.
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
It was filmed for 11 weeks in the Pacific Northwest. They found a house on the Howe Sound that was surrounded by water on three sides, exactly like it mentioned in the script. So that when they had that fight and the security guard, like it was easily like isolated, but not completely isolated.
Right.
And we already talked about Leo. And then the one interesting thing for the show or for the film is that Mark Wahlberg originally was reading for one of the gang members, like one of the guys in this gang, because Foley met him and was like, "Oh, you're really great, but like I don't think you're going to be right for I can't give you the lead," probably because they wanted somebody well known. And he was like, "But you can read for this gang," and he was like, "Okay." But then he's like, "I had to read David in part like while I was reading for the gang, and they heard me read for David, and they were like, 'Oh shit, he's got to do it.'" And they said, the director was like, "I want him in it. If he's not in it, then I'm not doing it." So yeah, so he got there. And also the really famous line where he's through the peephole and he's like, "Let me in the fucking house."
Yeah.
That was on the gag reel. And what happened was they showed the gag reel to some people and they responded to it. And then when the producer saw the film, that wasn't in it. And he was like, "Hey, where's that peephole scene where he's screaming?" And they're like, "Oh, that was just Mark messing around." And he was like, "No, that has to be in the film. Like that is totally going to be in the film." And that's like how one of those that famous scene got in there. Like it wasn't supposed to be in there. So that's really fucking cool because that is literally one of like my favorites.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any? That's all I have for like behind the scenes. There isn't too much. It wasn't like a crazy blockbuster, so there wasn't like a ton.
I don't really have anything. You mentioned Leo.
Leo.
I do love that Mark Wahlberg and Leo are like such good friends. Like,
are they still?
I thought.
Probably are.
Did they have falling out or something?
Oh no, they didn't. No, I just wondered now. Oh, I guess The Departed, right?
Oh yeah.
Have they done anything else together? But The Departed, Basketball Diaries. Have they done anything after that? No, right? Just The Departed.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I know The Departed though, which is pretty cool that they're like in scenes together.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. Do you have anything else? I'm going to move on to my story question. I have a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so we start out, which is really interesting that you kind of start the film, weirdly enough, like seeing the dad run. Like it's
it's like that aerial shot of like the Pacific Northwest, and then it, like, kind of zooms in on Steve like sprinting through the forest, I guess.
Weird. Yeah, that's super weird.
Oh, so the first shot is like Nicole in the shower, right?
Yeah, then I was gonna say, then it like kind of goes to like her in the shower, and I was like, this is weird. Like, okay. Yeah. And then obviously you like immediately meet her family life. I feel like is interjected really quick. Like as soon as you start, it's like there's already tension with the stepmom. The dad, like she's kind of just like, like bitchy to him, and she has a stepbrother, and that's weird. Like it's all super
child was
weird.
So annoying.
I know he was. Well, he did save them in the end, but he was.
But it's just, I mean, do you really want to admit that your 9-year-old stepbrother saved your life?
That's true. I know. I wouldn't, because she's like, oh, Toby. She's like, you're so annoying. I was like, oh god, this poor. I feel like it would have been cooler if she had a teenage brother
Yeah,
who was
yeah,
like 13 or something, who was like old
yeah.
enough to be like, actually, I don't know. The whole family dynamic I feel like is really weird. Like the mom is just like really kind of detached and kind of like almost like a big sister to Nicole, which I thought she was before I was like, oh, that's the wife. Oh,
Yeah.
that's her kid.
So I know they explain this later, but did Nicole's mom pass away?
That's what I never understood, because she said that she only moved there a year ago to
Oh,
David. She's like, I only
okay.
just moved up here a year ago. I didn't really know my dad before. So she didn't explicitly say it, because I
I
often
mean,
wondered the same thing.
yeah. I mean, you do kind of get the sense this is like a relatively new family. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
like I didn't really get the sense that the dad and the stepmom had been married for that long.
No, I don't think so.
Um,
It's really weird. And
yeah.
then yeah, I just thought that was really strange about like the family life. And then we eventually go and we meet her friends. We are outside of the high school and
Oh,
everyone around. Oh, what? Do you have
oh,
something?
yeah. So, I just have to say, um, when the scene when like they're all in the kitchen and like Nicole walks in and the look
Uh-huh.
that Steve gives her is just really weird.
Yeah,
Like,
there are some weird looks throughout. I mean, he does have that weird moment with Alyssa Milano that
yeah,
David sees, or Margot. We'll try to keep to character names here, but
okay,
to Margot, yeah, there is a weird kind of like Lear vibe.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
"What's your daughter?" Because
it's
she was wearing that really short dress,
yeah,
and
yeah,
he made a comment about it. He was like, "Hey, don't like, why are you wearing that? You look like it's something you had when you were 12."
yeah. It's just like a very strange comment. Like like it sort of remind me of these conversations that I'll have with my mom when she's just like, all right, we're getting ready to go out, so you should go and get dressed. And I was like, I am dressed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it is kind of weird, but then it's even weirder when it's going from like a father, and it seems like a dad she doesn't
It,
really know that well. It's
yeah,
not like a dad that she's grown up with. It seems like he was very much like she went in the summer because he moved up there. I'm like, did they get divorced, or did he just go like, my job's up here and she didn't leave and she was just back in LA? Because it's weird. She's like, my dad
yeah.
just moved up here,
I
like he moved up to Vancouver or
Although
whatever.
I do kind of like they don't like explicitly explain
Yeah, it's true. I guess it's
everything,
not
you know?
important.
Yeah,
once
yeah,
you find out that like this fucking hot felon is like on the loose and like literally trying to like do everything in his power to like get with your daughter. So then we go to the high school and we see this like great pan of like all these high school kids in this amazing like late 90s Pacific Northwest fashion, like all very muted plaids, what have you. But then Alyssa Milano comes out and she has like this really cool like sweater halter
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then like a jean jacket, and then she's like, oh, I had to let the teacher like stare at my tits before I'd let him like cut class. And I was like, is what is all this late 90s like obsession with like acceptability with dating teachers on
I
the part of like women? Because I've seen this in several shows where it's not, I mean, yeah, we know about Pacey and in Dawson's Creek when he was like literally having a full-on relationship with her and
yeah,
only got busted because of one person, like not because she knew it was wrong to be sleeping with a teenager, but
yeah.
only because someone found out about it. And then I was watching the show Popular the other day, the Ryan Murphy show, which is amazing. Someone's
Oh, good.
uploaded so good.
Yeah, it's good.
And that was, it's all on YouTube. Someone's uploaded all of them on YouTube, so like check that
That's
out if
cool.
you care about it. But it's really cool. But this one, in like the first two episodes, one of the girls who's like 16 is like trying to set up a date with her like teacher counselor, and it's like not weird. I'm like, that's like not right. But it's always coming from like the girl's perspective. I don't ever see what's happening on the guy's perspective. But anyway, so in this one, she's like, yeah, I had to let the teacher like stare at my tits before he'd let me like leave. And then they're all like, oh, whatever. Like, why are we all cutting class? They cut class, they go to this cafe, and that's when they see David and this guy Logan that Margot is really into, who's
Okay.
gross.
Yeah, that for scene when they first walk into that club slash coffee shop slash restaurant. I'm not sure what you call it. Anyway, my like first thought was at least 20% of these people have applied for the real world at least once. You know, because
You applied for the real world.
I applied for the real world.
Yes,
It is out there. I sent in a really embarrassing audition tape to the Real World Paris. I did not get casted. So.
Could you imagine if you got cast on the Paris Real World? I would literally be like, Charles, you have to figure out a way to get me in this fucking house. Like, I want to be like the friend who's always over. Like, I want a free trip to Paris, or at least be on the phone with me. So they can tape our phone conversation, so I can kind of say I was on the Real World. But totally, because that's in '96. Like, what the fuck else? Everyone wanted to be on the Real World.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Everyone between the ages of 18 and 24.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how old you had to be. It had to be.
Yeah.
That's so cool. But then Logan's gross. He looks like a lower rent version of like James Hetfield from Metallica.
Yeah.
But like dirtier and even gross. And I was like, he looks 40. How is she like seriously thinking this is gonna be okay?
I think it's a matter of taste, and Margot just does not have it.
Yeah, she definitely doesn't. And then I wrote my noter, first time we see David, woof.
Yeah,
it's like it's too much. It's really too much.
He's like wearing that like skin tight like turtleneck, and
it's like tucked in.
I know,
and like it's tight and it's layered, and he has like those kind of like wide leg pants, like those like baggy '90s jeans, and just like there's really nothing interesting about what he's wearing at all. But there's just something about goddamn Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah,
like he just is a smooth operator, and you can tell from this one look. And she's just like, and like Nicole is just like standing with her friends, and they're ordering food.
Me and Nicole were doing the same thing.
Looking around and then just like fixated, totally fixated on him. And you're just like, huh? I'm like, all right, we can all agree that like, problematic storyline issues aside, that we would all do exactly what Nicole did throughout this entire film, throughout the first half of this entire film. I don't know about the second half, but although maybe she killed him, so yeah, or she didn't really, the dad did, but like it makes sense. And she's like, what, 16? I'm sure she's probably dealt with like just some dumbass dudes in school. And or she's not even interested. It seems like Margot is just like ready for like someone who's not in the school, really. Like she wants an older guy, clearly. And then they decide to go to this rave, which is cool that like you see everyone looking at the same flyer.
Yeah.
And then they're all like, oh, I'm gonna go. Oh, I'm gonna
go. No, I saw that. I was like, wow, this is like when you actually had to physically make flyers and pass them out.
This is like my 90s moments are literally all focused around technology.
Yeah.
Like it's like the car phone and the Jeep, flyers. Like it's all like things that are all forms of some kind of like tech. And also the rave scene that they're about to go to is very 90s, because it was like more secretive. It wasn't like obviously on the internet like they are now, or however the fuck they do it now. I don't even know. So they get to this rave. I mean, there is kind of an interaction at home. You kind of see more of like they were supposed to go to some concert, and the dad's work always seems to like be getting in the way. Yeah. So he has to go.
So Steve's supposed to be Steve's like an architect, right?
I think so,
okay.
Right?
Okay.
I also wanted to know later on, this is more, I guess, of an issue. Like you find out about these elements of the house, but why do they have such a high security house? Yeah. Like their whole house is like a panic room.
Was it built with the purge in mind?
Like... Yeah, it really does. And they have like, it looks like they have their own security guard. Like that one guy is just meant for them. I was like, is he like a government contractor? Like, is there something? I mean, I know we get that they're supposed to be rich, but this area is very remote. I wouldn't think that you would need an armed guard before your driveway, because their driveway was so long. When you see it, it takes a long time to get to the house. So like, why would anyone rob that house? It just seems like excessive, but I don't know. Maybe that's not an issue, but I just wrote, they're 16, right? They look older.
Yeah.
They look way older. And then they get to the rave, and Margot's just like, hey, you're just literally like a warm body that I came with because you don't exist now. There's that dude who looks like 45 who I want to bang, I guess. And I love her outfit, though. She has this like halter blue dress that's crazy short.
Oh yeah.
And like the boots that Margot has. And then she just goes with this guy and essentially leaves her. She leaves Nicole at this giant rave
Yeah.
alone. So Margot's kind of a shit friend
Yeah.
at this point.
I am not a fan.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Margot. I mean, she definitely has horrible shit happen to her, and it
Yeah.
actually like comes like they all come together later. But at this point, it's like, oh, she's like that friend, you know? She's just like,
Yeah.
whatever, I'm here for the dude. So then she's like chilling, and then this is the first like official interaction
Yeah.
that we see between David and Nicole.
Okay.
A lot. It's like get the fan. It's a lot.
I was watching this last night and I had to take a break to like go out and smoke a cigarette.
It's literally like it's a lot.
Oh god, Mark Wahlberg may be only 5'8/5'6", but he just has he's so charismatic that like I don't know, you just like get it.
It's too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
I honestly can't think of another actor that's like that just has so much physical attraction and like testosterone just like bursting out of him.
Yeah.
I think he's got it more than like Brad Pitt. Like Brad Pitt is like very, I find him like extremely attractive, as most people do.
He is like really pretty.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's really pretty.
Yeah.
But Mark Wahlberg would like fucking kill someone for you, man. Like he's like Tom Hardy. He's also another one that's, like 6 feet.
That's the person.
Yeah, he's like a man. I mean in that sense of the word, I guess. Like the more like traditional sense, because obviously a man is like fucking anything. But in the way that they portray themselves on screen anyway, I don't know about their real life, but the way that their acting abilities are, they have that very much like male energy, like extreme male energy.
So so I wanted to ask, do you have an actor who you credit with like your sexual awakening?
I literally just talked about this in Interview with the Vampire.
Oh, okay.
Because in that episode, me and Jai and Jules talk about it, but I think like within 30 seconds of that intro, I was like, hi, this is my sexual awakening film. It is Interview with the Vampire, because it was just like there are two men and I was extremely conflicted.
Yeah.
So like I was just like, I don't know how to respond to this. Oh God, Christian Slater. Like this is just, I am like, I can't, like, it's just too much. I love Interview with the Vampire.
It's good. That's a great movie.
For a film to not have an explicit sex scene, it's probably one of like the sexiest films ever.
Oh yeah.
Like in that film, there's no explicit sex scene, which they could have easily done with vampires because that's what they do. And like, it just somehow like that energy of that film is just.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Oh, God,
do you have a film that credits your sexual awakening?
I have two. One was Keanu Reeves in Speed, just because he spends the entire movie just like yelling and he's like sweating and
the shaved head,
and he has a shaved head and he's like covered in like oil and blood and he's just like you know screaming like go faster and like so it's just like really really hot. And so I was 10 when that came out.
Wow.
and then
something.
And then the second one that really did it for me was Josh Hartnett in The Faculty.
Oh fuck. Hey, Josh Hartnett. Fuck. Have you seen Penny Dreadful?
I think I watched I think we watched an episode or two when we were at Mike's one time.
Dude, you have to fucking watch that. The fact that like in real life, Josh Hartnett got like arrested for having sex in like a public library in England just makes him so like whoa. A lot of people think like he's in that Ryan Gosling category, but like oh no, Josh Hartnett is. Hollywood H2O is when I think I first saw Josh Hartnett, and I was like,
I mean,
wow.
Yeah, he's like great in that too. But in The Faculty, he's just like such a smarmy bastard, and he's just like so cocky, and he like has those pens with like speed in it, and I was just like, oh, You are the man of my dreams.
That's so funny. I don't know if I have like an actual film, like and that actual film that I was just like, huh. It
Yeah,
definitely has to be. It definitely has to be like Interview with the Vampire, like because that I remember seeing, and I definitely remember being like, "Wow, Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise." And then I think when I saw Tom Cruise even later, I was just like dramatically disappointed that he just wasn't Lestat. And
yeah.
I was like, "Oh, he's." I mean, I will talk about this for the end of time. Tom Cruise definitely should have gotten an Oscar nomination for Interview with the
Oh
Vampire.
yeah, no, I agree.
That and also nobody wanted him to do that film. And once they saw it, even Anne Rice was like, "Holy shit." I
Yeah,
was like, yeah, no one else can be Lestat. I
I
mean,
also thought that Kristen Dunst was like brilliant
oh,
in that movie too.
incredible.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Incredible. I can't believe that that's actually her. But oh wait, we're getting off topic. So
Yes,
now
yes, we are.
we're at the rave. They have this interaction. We went like total full on we went full on it and just kind of like like diverted here. But they do have an interaction and it's very like super coy, super sly, very like God, it's a lot.
Yeah,
Then
okay.
a fight breaks out and then he like grabs her hand and then they just like are like running from some kind of like raids going on. There's like a fight that leads to a raid and they're like on that roof. And I love how she's with David and then you see Margot with her guy and she's like, Margot, and she's like, I'll see you later. She like, goes with the guy and just like runs off. I'd be like, what the fuck? Who's this dude? Like she was kind of conflicted. Like Nicole was kind of like, what should I? Oh, okay. And then she goes and like goes with him, and then he like grabs her ass on the way down. Of course, she's wearing a skirt, like a mini skirt, and like a crop top, which is super cool. She's wearing tons of skirts throughout this entire film.
Yes.
It's like literally that's all she wears, and dresses and stuff. And I think she wears pants like twice. And yeah, the whole time I'm just like, God, she's leaving with this guy, although I would and have done this exact thing. I've definitely had a friend that's ditched me, and I've definitely left with someone that I probably shouldn't have, but not in like a violent way or anything,
Yeah.
but definitely weird. And then we get their first like kind of weird oh, I also have a in here, did he always have bad intentions or do you think he was ever good, David?
Um, I sort of got the sense he was just like an inherently damaged person,
Mhm.
and that he sort of had like very like animalistic kind of like drives, and that he was in that moment he just felt attracted to her and
Mhm.
like was just like drawn to her. And I started to really get the sense he thought very far ahead, like like
Because he saw her at the bar, and
yes,
then when he saw her, and yeah, he did kind of the way that he just like sidled up next to her at the rave
yes.
was very much like he had been looking at her for a while, and he just decided that moment to be like, "Hey." I don't even think he said "Hey." I think and she just like turned and saw him, and I was like, "Girl, we're here. We are here, Nicole." Like that is exactly what I would do. And she's like, "Hi." And he's just like, "Oh, why are you not dancing?" I was like, oh God. I was like, this is too much. I can't even take this anymore. Then when they're actually alone and he's like telling her all this stuff and he's like, yeah, my parents are like still together. She's telling him like, about her mom and her dad and like how her relationship's kind of weird.
Yeah,
And I was like, damn, she's telling him like everything pretty quick. Like she's
yeah,
kind of opening up a lot. But it seems also that she doesn't really have a foundation in Seattle, like where they are.
yeah,
So I think like when she gets this opportunity to really like open up to someone, it feels like she does because her stepmom is not. She doesn't get along with her. Her stepbrother's too young. Her dad barely really knows her. It seems like she
yeah,
just got, like sent up there like a year ago, like kind of against her will, it seems like, or maybe her mom passed. It doesn't really say. 'Cause
yeah,
it seems very much like I was like, well, why wouldn't she just go back? Or maybe like the mom didn't get married and say like, okay, you're out. I don't know. Maybe.
yeah. I don't know. It's pretty vague.
Yeah,
But
it's true.
I
But yeah, then they have that conversation in the car.
yeah, yeah,
God. And then of course like she like they start making out and then she's like, no, I can't, like you know, like that's something that's like a flaw that, you know, and he's like, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna wait for you. I was like, oh, he's gonna wear you down, girl. You got like 30 minutes before like this shit's all over. And then they go back, and then she's like, oh wow, like he's so great. She's in that first like lovey-dovey thing, and then they get into that whole like montage of like teen romance with that Bush song, "Come Down."
Yeah. That
And
that was a very 90s moment.
super 90s, the whole like just them making out everywhere, and just the whole vibe. Mark Wahlberg has a really weird kissing style that I think is probably like throughout all of his films. It's like he's like swallowing your face. It's really weird. I don't know like if that was a direction or what, but I feel like it seems like it catches like the actresses off guard.
Yeah.
You can totally tell like when he first goes in, they're like, whoa, okay. Okay, and like really quickly have to recover, but great job nonetheless.
I just wrote down he looks like, I want to believe that he's a good kisser. He does not look like one of those guys who like darts their tongue like in and out of your mouth.
Oh no.
Or
he's way smoother than that.
Or it you know, it looks like he doesn't like, you know, like just like, you know, like suck their lip into his mouth, you know, like
like, he knows what he's doing.
I agree.
I agree. Then he asked to meet her. Then during this whole montage, he's like, "Hey, I want to meet your family." And I was like, "Ooh, he wants to meet the fam."
No one wants to meet the other one's family.
No one. You're 16. What 16-year-old boy? Or well, he's not 16. He's like at best 20. He's over 18. I'm going to say he's either 19 or 20 because he's out of high school. Yeah. But he seems to randomly show up there all the time.
Yeah,
and know exactly where she is.
This high school has like no security at all.
No security,
like,
yeah.
I mean,
walking around.
I mean, I know this is like pre-Columbine, but like, I mean, I kind of get the sense that nowadays you can't just like walk into a school at random.
No, definitely not. But it seems like he walks in when all the other students are there and he blends in. Like he doesn't walk in when they're in the middle of class. Every time you have seen him in the school, he's like in the hallway when she's talking to Gary, when she has a fight with him. There are like other kids around, like milling around. Then he goes to the cafeteria and there's other kids milling around. I don't know how and this is pre-cell phone. How the fuck does he know where she is all the time?
Oh yeah.
Like how?
Right.
Yeah, like when he finds her at the mall a little bit later, I'm like, how the fuck did he know she was there? Like, how? Did she have a voicemail that said, hey, I'm not here, I'm at the mall with my stepmom, you know, go find me there? Like, no, it's really weird. Unless she like, he didn't call around, like he didn't call like Margot to be like, hey, where's Nicole? Or maybe he did, I don't know. But it just seemed that was also like a really like, that's a nitpicky thing. But he meets the family, so immediately you can cut the sexual tension with a knife with that stepmom and David. I was like, ooh, and he totally knows it.
Yeah, and I just have to point out that like when Nicole came home late, her stepmom called her slut.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, she literally later on, like, he was just like, oh, I'll help you plant the flowers. And she's like, oh, wow, you're good for like 1,001 uses. I was like,
kettle black.
Yeah. I was like, what? And then I love when it cuts to like, David's like, hey, Mr. Walker, can I use your bathroom? And he's like, oh yeah, it's in there. And then before that, like he hears the exchange of David and the stepmom, and she's like, I don't know, I think like dirt under the hands is kind of sexy. And he's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't watch it. And he obviously Nicole's dad like hears it and is like, huh? I was like, ooh, you're lacking in that department apparently, which he brings up later. But then he goes and like washes his hands in the bathroom, and then Margot like strolls in this like crazy short skirt and literally like is flirting with the dad.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not your friend's father. This is not the way you act towards your friend's dad.
This kind of reminded me of like American Beauty.
Oh yeah.
Like just like Mina Suvari's character.
Yeah. But in this one, she's actually kind of like little loose, Margot. And not in the other way. This girl actually would take it there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that that bothers her that much. But yeah, and then this is what Charles texted me when I was like, "Hey, I'm watching Fear, like getting ready for the podcast later." And then he just wrote, "Nicole, give me a Coke." Because that's like the literal first little like tip of a red flag that they're like trying to wave really small, and the dad like reacts to it and sees like
Yeah.
how aggressive and like short the tone was, and then she comes in and gives him the Coke. And then, oh well, not to skirt over to the fact that like Margot is turned around with her butt facing the dad and like bends over to tie her shoe, and her like ass is coming out and he's staring at it, and David looks at the dad looking like, I see it.
Yeah.
Like, I see you looking at her. Like, okay, all right. It doesn't say anything. And just like this whole like look exchange, I was like, well, something's up with his dad. His dad's a little weird.
Yeah, he kind of seems to take the holier than thou route throughout this movie, but
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
does.
it's like, oh, you're such a hypocrite.
Yeah, I was
So,
like, no, come on. And then and then it's so crazy. And then I was just like, oh my God, how weird. And then he like flips the oh yeah, so then Nicole comes in, she brings him the Coke, and the way he like kind of is like, hey, can you hurry up and get ready? Like we still have to go. Like, let's go. Like, hurry up. And he's kinda and she's like, okay, yeah, I'm going. I'm like almost ready. And he's like very like it's not as aggressive as the like get me a Coke, because that was like a yell.
yeah,
But it's very much also I've noticed that throughout this entire film, David has like two levels. He's either like whisper quiet or he's screaming.
yeah,
Like he has no in
yeah,
between. Even when he talks to the dad and they have that interaction like a little bit later, it's always like a very like calm whisper, which makes it even more terrifying. That
yeah,
he just seems like a total sociopath, very much like Patrick Bateman in American
mm,
Psycho.
yeah,
It's like this very low kind of like what he's really thinking and what he says, and it just has more meaning than if someone's screaming and yelling everything to you.
yeah.
Um, which I wonder if that was a direction choice, or if I wonder if that was what Mark Wahlberg did with the script. Like, I wonder if it was written that way, or
Yeah,
if
I
he
don't
just.
know. This is like totally random, but I like heard that for American Psycho, Christian Bale based Patrick Bateman off of like an interview with Tom Cruise.
What? Me and Jai are literally doing American Psycho
Yeah,
next.
so
So I haven't researched into it. No way.
yeah, so
But that's early though. Must have been an early interview.
yeah, so like apparently I forget what talk show, what late night talk show it was, but like apparently like Christian Bale saw Tom Cruise on this talk show, and like he noticed that when Tom Cruise smiled, his smile never like touched his eyes, so it like seemed like very flat, very like kind of
Wow.
and so he kind of used that as kind of like a foundation for like Patrick Bateman. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
And this is
yeah,
why Christian Bale is like one of the most incredible character actors we have.
yeah,
Because who the
absolutely.
hell would notice that? I
Mhm.
mean, I wouldn't. I do like Tom Cruise's movies though.
He is he's I like Tom Cruise too.
Yeah, I mean, I like his films.
I'm
I don't.
I'm not gonna fight you on Tom Cruise this time.
Yeah, I like his movies. But
he's he's a domestic terrorist, Lauren.
oh god, oh god. Reset. Let's talk about the roller coaster, right?
Okay, cool.
Let's talk about the fucking scene that everyone wants to talk about. So after this weird leering thing that happens with the dad and Margot, they leave and go to this carnival that's happening. They do all the normal carnival shit, then they get on a roller coaster, and I mean, if you don't know anything about Fear, I feel like you know the scene already,
Yeah.
right? Like even if you haven't seen the film.
I mean, I always thought roller coasters were pretty fun before I watched this movie, and I realized that they could get a lot more fun.
They could get a lot more fun, although the logistics of this actually happening, I feel like is very much under. I mean, yes, this is definitely like an extremely crazy sensual scene where he's like fucking fingering her on a roller coaster.
Yeah,
But his facial expressions I could really do without. I really don't like his whatever face this is. It's really strange. But then when they actually go on the down, like the slope, I'm like, the velocity of your hand like up there would not be that enjoyable. I think it's like that. I don't think that that would be like a realistic thing. But of course, they're doing this essentially to make you like feel all of this, especially within the constructs of Wild Horses done by the Sundays. Which is like, I wonder if this band is like, yes, we are the song from that fucking movie. Like, we're the cover. Isn't it like a Rolling Stones song?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I'm like, yes, we are that band. Like, we're that fingering roller coaster scene band.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we are. I know we didn't want to use those as our favorite scenes because it's kind of a trope at this point, but yeah. Do you have anything to add about it?
Not really. It certainly does create a mood.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
There's pre roller coaster and post roller coaster
yeah,
in this
yeah.
movie. It definitely excels pretty fast.
I just have the question underlined 3 times. What is your favorite roller coaster?
Oh, wow. This is just on general roller coaster riding in general.
Yeah, because like I remember in ninth grade we got taken to Busch Gardens, and I forget the
Yeah,
names of the roller coasters, but like the ones there were really fun.
I know. Okay, the one that we went on was called the Alpengeist.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
so dope because it was like an overhead suspension and it had corkscrews. We also went on the Big Bad Wolf, which is one of like the really old coasters they have there, but that one's scary as fuck. The Loch Ness Monster,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Drachenfire was
Yeah, yeah.
another one that had like the Drachenfire was cool, but the way that the what do you call it? Like the pads that are on the sidebar of the car, like your
Mhm.
head would rotate and like vibrate in between them and like knock. So you had to like keep one side of your head like fixed to one side, but no one would tell you that. Like so after you ride it, like then I remember people being like, "Oh, you got to put your head to like one side and hold it because otherwise it's going to just like shake around in this car or however they do it." That one was really cool.
Yeah.
And then I think we did like didn't we go to wasn't there like the Outer Limits or was that in like King's Dominion?
Oh, I don't remember where it was, but I know we went on the Outer Limits because that was one that's like in the dark, right?
Yeah, uh-huh. I don't know where
Um,
that one was, but yeah, yeah. What is yours? Those are probably mine. I mean, there are a few that I went to in Utah. The last
okay,
time I went to a amusement park was like 2012, I guess.
okay.
When's the last
Um,
time you went?
so I can't. It was probably because we went in Busch Gardens, and I feel like we went again like in high school, like at West at some point.
Yeah, I think we did.
Um, and I forget where we went, like because it wasn't Busch Gardens, but I forget.
Six Flags?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Six
closer.
Flags, but
Yeah,
like,
Busch Gardens is dope, but it's fucking like 2.5 hours.
yeah,
Far.
my like favorite roller coasters are like the ones that are like kind of made of wood, and
Those are scary. Fuck.
yeah,
There's one of those. There's the Rebel. It's like the Rebel Yell or something.
yeah, yeah,
Is
that's it.
yeah, is like the wooden one. For some reason, I have no idea why I know all these roller coasters names, but the Shockwave's another cool one where you stand up. I don't
Oh,
know
right.
if that is still there, but that one's your favorite, the wooden ones.
Yeah, yeah. I like. Okay, so like the ones with like loops are like fun, but like I have to take my glasses off for those. So I
Yeah,
can't
I did
like.
too. I didn't wear contacts then.
So like so I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, that's the Outer Limits was like that too. I didn't have glasses on, but it was like really scary. But I didn't see all the weird like lights and shit. I mean, it was all like fuzzy, and I was like, "Wow, this is cool."
I was
It's
like,
dark.
wow, is this what it's like to die?
Yeah, like you just can't see anything. Everything's just like a giant blur. That's so funny. Um, yeah, so then all right, so after the roller coaster, I think she gets dropped or she finds out that like we find out that her dad is like has to go to Vancouver and the mom's gonna go, and I guess who cares where the brother is? He's not home. And or maybe the brother is home, but who cares? She tells David the fucking passcode in her house to get in because she's gonna finally bang him.
Yeah.
And we get that whole scene, which is very much like I feel like as far as like first time experiences go, I feel like she during that whole scene, she's like kind of trying to talk to him.
Hmm.
And he just like kind of isn't like because at one point she's like David, and he's just like doing his thing. Like he's not really like acknowledging her at all. I think he just says I love you, but like whatever. And like I was like, it's just really it feels very one-sided. Like because when you see it, like he goes into the room and then the next time you see him, he's like naked standing there.
Yeah.
I mean, not there's not full frontal people. It's fucking 96. It's not X-rated, but I was just like, huh, this is weird. And then I was like, oh, and then now there's post. And it seemed like right after that is when he sees like her hugging Gary outside the school and goes fucking ape shit and just starts beating Gary. And then I think she's trying to get him off, and then he like knocks her down and elbows her and then gives her a black eye.
Yeah.
And then he's like, come on, come on. And then you're like, whoa, this just got super real. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck's going on now?
Um,
And
I mean, that wasn't. I mean, it seemed like he like didn't like mean to hurt her, but I mean, he still did.
yeah. And it was
Um,
just very like it was very like primal.
yeah,
Like he just really like jumped in and just started hitting him. Like no, he didn't even yell. He didn't go like, "Hey, like get off her!" Like nothing. It was like he just went in and just started wailing on him,
yeah,
like with no explanation at all. I was like, "Holy shit!" So then when she goes home, and then Laura, the stepmom, sees this black eye. It's really strange too that throughout this entire like evolving and devolving abusive relationship, the mom is very passive.
yeah.
And I
Like,
feel like as a woman, I'm surprised that she's making excuses for
I mean,
David. And the
um,
dad is like, am I crazy? Like
I
he's
mean,
really unstable.
yeah. I mean, she had to suspect something, right?
Yeah, she has to.
I'm just saying, like, a black eye seems like a very specific kind of injury, and
And
like,
she's like, oh, I got it in school. I'm like, I
I
mean,
mean,
yes, that's a possibility. It's not
yeah, but I mean, I mean, it's. I guess it's just. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess like sort of abusive, like like abuse wasn't really like as well understood or known back then.
that's
So,
true, yeah. Or
I
maybe
mean,
that would they just didn't want to touch that as part of the story because that's not what it's about. It's basically about like, Nicole and David and the dad. I mean, the
yeah,
dad's the one who becomes like the real like deciding like protagonist, really. He's the one who's like
yeah,
gonna defeat him and like find out what's going on. And obviously it's his daughter, but still I would think as a stepmother and as a woman in general, like you would but that's just nowadays. I feel like you're right. Because nowadays it would be very much like the woman, I feel like the stepmom would be very much like, now like if something's happening, that's not right. If he does this, if he hits you, if he says this, if he even says anything that's really like fucked up, like you can come to me and tell me because that's not normal. Like
yeah,
that's not what they should be doing. But I guess yeah, in this time that wasn't something that I guess they would have written in a script, and the script was also written by man too.
yeah,
So
true.
I feel like if maybe it was written by women, it would have come from that different place. Yeah, I just have like, and then David and Nicole make up, and the stepmom like invites him over to the house when they're swimming, and the dad's like, "What the fuck's he doing here?" And she's like, "Well, we're swimming, and fucking look at him." Like
Yeah.
he's like flirting with her, throwing her in the pool.
Oh, that look that David gives Steve, like at the pool, is just like
Whoa.
so sinister.
I know,
And
and he's like
like,
kissing Nicole. I was like,
and
"Oh,
I was like, what's going on? Does he want Nicole? Does he want Laura the stepmom?
yeah."
I mean, does he
Wants it all.
I guess.
Yeah, I think he totally wants it all. I'm like, oh god. And then after, I mean, few things happen, and then she goes with David again, and Nicole goes with David again, and then she's like making out with him, and she's like, I have to go. My dad's really mad. Like, I gotta go home. I can't not go home. And then she doubles back and goes to David's house, and she is like just looking through the window the whole time, and she sees first Margot sleeping with that dude Logan, smoking like crystal meth or crack or whatever the fuck he's
Ugh,
smoking. I was like,
that's
ew,
so gross.
God.
Like,
It's so gross. Like, God,
also,
no.
also that scene, that took like just after the roller coaster scene, like when he and
Oh
Margot
yeah,
are
he's
making out, and he
making
like
out.
points to Nicole. I was like,
Yeah,
ooh, God.
and he's done that, but he did it again when they were in the house.
Yeah,
He
that's
was
right.
like pushing his crotch around and like looking at her
Yeah,
like in a weird way. I was like, oh, this guy's gross.
yeah,
And then also, yeah, so during that whole exchange, she sees essentially David like fucking take Margot and like essentially force her to sleep with him and
That
like rape her.
I
I mean,
mean,
we're assuming that's what happens.
that was so disturbing.
So disturbing. That was
Like
in my worst scenes. Like
I mean,
all the worst scenes are having to do with like any type of violence. It was just really
yeah.
disturbing.
Like I mean, I feel like up until this point, I was still like kind of like on David's side, but
Yeah, because he was like this bad boy. He
yeah,
wasn't like that dangerous yet. You were like, oh, okay, like there might be something kind of weird with him, but we don't really know what it is yet.
yeah.
And then it ended up being like, oh fuck. But then now, which I always found really strange, even when I watched it, Nicole avoids, obviously she avoids both of them. Like David shows up to school and Gary's there and David's like, hey, what's up? And she's like, get away from me. And he doesn't know why,
Yeah,
because he doesn't know that she saw this. And then Gary's like, get away from her, like
yeah.
take your hand off her, whatever. And then he's like,
Again,
what's going on?
again, he just walks into school. Like,
Yeah, I was like, how the fuck did he get there? And remember earlier when they had another fight, he had a note in her locker.
yeah,
I was like,
right.
that means that he was standing somewhere and he saw which locker was yours. Like, that's just so, oh God, it's just so stalkery and so creepy. And it's even more creepy when you don't have phones.
I know,
Because
right?
that means he's showing up places. Like he is physically there. There's not a way where he can stalk you by looking at like Twitter or like your social media and see where you were that day. And with friends, it was like, no, he's really physically there, like following you around.
Yeah.
Just so crazy. And then I have, why is Nicole mad at Margot? She saw what happened. Is she mad that Margot didn't tell her right away and didn't call her and be like, oh my God, Nicole? Not that like it seems Nicole believed her.
I didn't. I don't. I think what Nicole saw, she didn't recognize that as like as like sexual assault. I think she just saw her friend
Getting taken by him.
Yeah, and like her friend not really
fighting him off.
Yeah.
So, and I guess she probably couldn't hear what we heard, right?
Yeah.
Because we heard that she was like, no, I don't want to. And then he like was like, tell him, like, and then he grabbed the back of her neck. And then but I guess she probably couldn't hear that because she's standing like several feet away. She just sees, I guess. Yeah, that's true. Because I always was like, what the fuck? But then when Margot is like, he forced me, like, I didn't, like, who told you? Like, he forced me. And she still is like, like, no, that's not true. But I'm like, I would. And then she's really upset. Like, she's visibly upset. It's not like she's kind of flippant about it. She was a little flippant at first because she was kind of like, what? What's the big deal? And then she was like, you know what it is. And she's like, no, I don't. And it's like, I'm sure she was ashamed or really scared because later on, fucking David, like, almost tries to run her off the road. That scene was so upsetting.
Oh, yeah.
When he pulls off the road with her and like slaps her and then grabs her out of the car and like pushes her up against, I was like, oh my God, like this is a bit much.
That was a very intense scene, and what I focused on was Margot's car, because that car is so 90s.
Oh, I know, the rabbit.
Yeah.
The rabbit.
Like I saw that car and I was like, oh my God, I knew like 15 people who had that exact same car.
Yeah, I know, it's so crazy. And then I think that's like her mom's car.
Yeah.
And then
oh yeah.
Go on.
So I was just gonna add that like I wasn't really sympathetic to Margot as a character until like this scene.
Yeah, same. Yeah, Sam. I was like, oh my God. So then after this, we have that like intense scene where I think they go back to the house and anyway, the dad has found out they've slept together.
Yes.
Right. So then this is, I mean, we'll go into like, this is, I mean, I can like kind of jump to it, but this is one of my favorite scenes is when David and Steve have that exchange.
Oh, oh my God. That was so great. That was
dude, so and he's like, maybe, like, yeah, whatever. Like, I know that like you abandoned Nicole. I know that like you're not keeping up your end of the bargain because she wouldn't be your woman wouldn't be all over my stick. I was like, oh, I was like, in fairness though, we would all be on David's stick and not on Steve's at all. But like, I mean, just I guess maybe the money is the only thing that's like keeping her there. Because come on, I mean, let's be real.
Yeah.
Why are you not? Why would you not be with fucking David. But I was like, oh, and then he just starts beating his chest, and then the
Yeah.
whole thing erupts into like you beat him. I was like, okay, this guy's manipulative. Like, he's fucking crazy. But then to get to, I think that was like further behind. But then to get to Gary,
Oh,
Gary's
poor Gary.
poor Gary, the friend totally gets killed in this really super like animalistic primal way, like an animal. Like it
Yeah.
seemed like he's chasing him through the woods and then he just like snaps his neck. I
Yeah.
was like, what the fuck?
I
Dude, crazy.
I do love that shot when like Gary's just like walking and then like David's head just like pops into
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
like, hey.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, what's up, Gary? And
Yeah.
like, oh no, he's gonna die.
Yeah, and I like love his speech that like he launches into. I don't remember how
It's
how
about
it
walls.
goes. Yeah,
That was
yeah,
about
yeah.
walls. They kept building walls, and I kept breaking through them. And then after when I turned 18, they just let me go. And now I punch through. Now there's like fleshy walls that are in between like me and what I want. And you're in between me and what I want. And I gotta break you down. And then he's like, oh, and he trips him. And then Gary like falls, and he's like, oh, come on, Gary. And then he just starts running. And then like fucking David is like an Olympic athlete, like built like an Olympic athlete. He's like lifting people. He's like running, like his cardio's up, and he just like catches up to him and just snaps his neck so fast. I was like, oh god. And then this is another like one of my worst scenes too, is when he stalks Nicole into that mall bathroom.
Oh, that was scary.
This is the point where I'm like, okay, David needs to go. Like he
Yeah.
needs to go. Something like crazy needs to happen because he's really out of control now, and he's like abusive, and he's just like sexually assaulting her now at this
Yeah.
point. Like this is just getting like to be too crazy. Then David, and then it starts to get ramped up, and like this big climax is coming with this like big siege at this house. But then like David fucks up his car, his like fancy Mustang, is like 60 whatever Mustang.
Yeah.
And then the note is like, now I've popped both your cherries. I was like,
I was like, oh bitch! Oh bitch!
yeah, I was like, oh bitch, shots fired. Like it's fucking on. And I was like, oh my god. And then he goes to like that house and like just destroys everything.
Yeah.
And then he sees that fucking shrine that he has built up to Nicole. And I was like, oh my god. Could you imagine being a father and seeing that?
Yeah,
like seeing your daughter like on this fucking crazy
was like so scary just when he opens the box and there's like, that like bracelet that like says that he's like David is modified to say like David's girl and like a pair of Nicole's underwear and like and for some reason there's like a Chucky doll on like the mantle.
Yeah. And that picture where his head is replacing the dad's.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, so that, like you were saying, does he want the stepmom? Maybe he wants the stepmom. Maybe this whole thing is like a total misdirection, and he's actually just trying to get to the stepmom. Like,
that would have actually been kind of a cool twist.
That would have been a twist because he's over 18.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, she could have been like, I'm leaving you for David. He's a real man, and then they just take off.
Yeah.
Just left there. And then I have after the dad goes ballistic on their house, that they're gonna come retaliate, which then I'm not gonna give a play-by-play. It turns into like a giant siege. The only question I have is, why do they seem to have a personal security guard, and why do they have like a panic room house? Like, it's weird that when they're starting to attack the house, like the stepmom is like, no, you designed this house so no one would get in, reinforced doors, blah blah blah, windows. I was like, what the fuck? Are they like getting zombies? Are they like are they ready for the zombie apocalypse? Is there another layer of the story? Are they like doomsday preppers? Like why is this house, like, he built it from the ground up and it's like on this little tiny little like peninsula, and there's like one house way far up that's the security. I was like, what does he do? Like, why does he have all the security and no guns?
Yeah,
you got all
right?
this shit. You live in the woods and you don't have any kind of firearm. I feel like if I had all the security, I'm assuming someone's coming in, I'd have something in there. And I live in a remote part,
You'd have to have, at least like a crossbow, like
something, a stake.
I don't know, like really long spear, a like pair of tongs,
a harpoon.
Yeah.
Like something, or like in Buffy with like, hey, why do they call it a mace? Like,
you could
So crazy.
you could fill rotten milk into like water balloons. Um,
Ew.
I mean,
Ugh.
well, yeah, it's probably not very pleasant to do, but maybe the crackheads wouldn't want to be hit by one.
That's true. That is very true. Um, so there's a huge siege at the end, and that's all the story notes that I have. Do you have any notes about the end?
Um, oh yeah, so I just have we have the unfortunate event where their adorable German Shepherd gets
Oh,
gets beheaded, and
oh,
his like head is like kind of like put through the dog door. But I have to say the prosthetic head they use is like really impressive.
yeah, it is. It definitely
Um,
looked real.
and I have a couple style notes. I there's a shot of like one of like the henchmen who's like wearing a wallet chain, and
Oh,
I was like, oh God, I was like that takes me back.
yeah,
They were so stylish and so like not useful.
I know.
like
They were annoying.
yeah.
Yeah, they were super
And
annoying.
then, like when things start to get real, when they all kind of gather in like Nicole's room, and like like that guy who's like kind of been after Nicole like for this entire movie, kind of like comes after her, and like David shoots him in the
Oh
head.
yeah, he
Um,
just like point blank shoots him.
yeah,
I was like, oh
and
shit.
and then like and then like there's a point when like David is like saying to Nicole, I forget what the exact lines, but it's like say goodbye to daddy or something, and I genuinely thought he was about to shoot Steve in the head.
I'm
Like
surprised he didn't. But she was like, no, like
yeah,
she's the only one he'll listen to.
yeah.
She's like, no, no, don't do it, don't do it.
And then I just got really excited because it showed a shot of the guardhouse, and I swear there was a television with a built-in VCR.
Oh no way. Oh
And I was like,
yeah.
oh my God, those were the best.
The days, the
Yeah, yeah,
days, man. Oh,
yeah.
and you could just like tape shit from
Oh
TV
my God, it was so great.
and
Like
just watch it over and over
it
again.
was like having a mixtape of like television shows.
Yes. Oh, good one. Good one. That
Like
was super good.
um
That's all I have. I only have a few notes for like the theme is obviously set in Seattle in the 90s, very muted palette. We're dealing with like aftermath of grunge here. And we're still kind of in that grunge era. Do you have any like notes about the location?
well I just put that even though this is Seattle and it's kind of the post grunge era, there's still a lot of flannel, but
There
it
is.
seems like it's a little more restrained. Like
It is. It's very subtle.
yeah, yeah.
And it's not like thick material. Like David wears plaids, and Reese Witherspoon also, or Nicole, she wears tons of plaid, like plaid skirts, but it's
Mhm.
very like understated.
Yeah,
And Margot, I think, wears like a flannel shirt over her jeans at one
yeah.
point, like over her
Um,
outfit. So it's definitely flannelly.
and I the scene where Nicole comes home late and Laura calls her a slut.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
so I so was she so it kind of gave me a throwback to like when like baby tees like first
yep,
hit the market, and I was like, is are those real clothes?
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. The half shirt is definitely like a contempo casual.
yeah.
Uh, I think you know who had the same exact shirt on is Ty in Clueless.
Oh yeah,
when
that's right.
when they're doing that makeover with Cher
Mhm.
and Dee and Ty, and they're like trying all those different clothes on. I think Dee has a shirt like that, and then they put Ty in that too. And that was '95, so it's like around the same era. It
Yeah,
definitely was that
I
era.
remember when those T-shirts hit seventh grade.
Yeah, yeah, totally, right? It's so crazy. And also the music throughout the whole thing is literally just like a '90s alt rock radio special. It's like
Oh
Bush,
yeah.
the
Well,
Sundays.
oh, yeah. So I like one of my favorite things to do like before I went to sleep at night during this time period was that like I like love to turn on the radio and like tune it to either like DC, was it 99.1?
Oh, that's HFS.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So I do either that or DC 101, and
Hmm.
like like put on music as I was like falling asleep, and like I have very vivid memories of lying in bed when like Machine Head would come on the radio, like, and I was just like, oh gosh, this song is just a time warp. I love it.
I know, I love it. It's so good.
Yeah.
And they have like Bush in there, and they have like Toad the Wet Sprocket,
Oh
and
yeah.
like two songs by Bush, which I thought was really interesting. And they
Um,
have like the rave music. Like it really encompassed a lot of the '90s music.
yeah.
And then the fashion. I mean, I just can't. I love a lot of Nicole has the most changes. I didn't count, but she's got a lot of changes. I love what she wears to the rave, that brown white stitch jacket, and then she has like the black half shirt and the plaid skirt, and then Margot that night has like that blue floral halter dress that's super short, and you can like both see their underwear, like
Yeah.
they're just so short. And then David, I have his looks are very Goodwill thrift shop, muted colors, very Pacific Northwest,
Hmm.
and like very lumberjacky. He like layers a lot,
Yeah.
and I love those. I love the pullovers that David has that are like they're like midriff shirts, but he has a shirt tucked underneath it. It's like
Yeah.
an oversized, really boxy sweatshirt that he
Hmm.
like wears, I think, for the rest of the movie. Like after you see him in that plaid, you see him in like that boxy pullover for like the rest of the film. And then Nicole's always in skirts. She has that red jacket. She has that purple sweater that she wears with jeans that's like fuzzy. That's really cool. And then she just has plaid skirts galore. And then I think the end she has that purple shirt and like a vest, like a
Yeah.
black vest and like red pants. It's the only other time you see her in pants. She has like two or maybe like two or three scenes with pants, but everything else is like short skirts or like dress with tights. Same Margot wears pants later. She wears those brown cords and like the plaid shirt and like the teal kind of shirt when David it kind of matches her car
Yeah.
because her car is teal. Yeah, it's really interesting. What do you have for the fashion?
Yeah. So I so I liked Nicole's outfit like in the very first scene when she comes into the kitchen.
Oh yeah, that's
Like
pretty cool.
with with like the floral dress that goes down to like just above her knees, and like those like kind of frilly socks.
Yeah, those like little girl
And
socks.
was she wearing boots or shoes?
I think she had like Mary Jane's.
Okay,
Yeah, I
okay.
think she had like black Mary Jane's on.
And then I love the outfit when her and David that she's wearing when her and David go to the amusement park. Um,
Oh yeah,
and
that striped skirt.
Yeah. This isn't so much fashion, but I just love her room. Like it just looks so like
Yeah,
it just
her room is cool.
looks so like fun and light and girly.
Yeah,
Like
it's cool.
I don't know. It just looks like a really relaxing place.
As
So,
opposed to like his prison cell room that he
yes,
had.
which,
Like
which
literally.
which is not too far from my room right now.
No, no, no. It's very minimal. It's minimalistic,
Yes,
you know?
yes,
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, and everyone else is just wearing like whatever. I mean, who
yeah,
cares? Like it's just those three have the coolest outfits, and then like the sea level Jared Leto. I mean, whatever. He has that
yeah.
weird Patagonia pullover, I think, which is like when he dies.
I
Like I
um
had one of those.
I didn't think we were going to be talking about the little boy Toby as a style icon, but
Yeah,
like,
I didn't
um,
list him. He just wears plaid. They're
um,
like put him in a plaid shirt.
but I did think it was kind of badass how he ran over that guy with a
Yeah,
car.
that was pretty cool. And used the car phone. That was one of
Yeah,
my
yeah.
90s moments was, oh
Oh
my
my
God,
God, car
car
phones
phone
were
in
the
the
best.
Jeep. I know. I was like, car phone in the Jeep. What were your favorite scenes
So I have
that
three.
you picked out? Ooh,
Um,
okay, what were your three?
I guess the roller coaster scene and like the peephole scene are probably the two most famous. So I wanted to choose
Yeah,
ones that were
we
different.
both can agree that, yeah, those two are like the best.
So I love the scene where like David and Steve kind of confronts David, and like David basically like tears him down, and
Mhm.
like as he's doing it, I was like, yes, do it,
Yeah,
do it.
I know. I
And
was like, yes, get him. Get her,
um,
Jade.
and then I love the scene where Gary gets murdered. Um, and um,
I love how you just gloss over that. I love the scene where Gary gets murdered, and yeah,
um,
and then when David starts furiously punching his chest like a sociopath. Yep, those are my
Um,
two
and
favorites.
then this scene is really really small, but I so there are problems, but I do like Nicole's relationship with the stepmom like overall,
Mhm.
and like when just there's this is a really really small scene. It's very quiet, but so this is after David has beaten the shit out of Gary. And also, can I just add that Gary recovered from that beating like really quickly?
Yeah. She had a black eye and he was literally
Yeah, he was like fine. I was like whatever. But okay, so anyway, so like David like sends her flowers, and then like there's a scene where she takes the flowers out back and like throws them away, and then she comes back inside, and like the stepmom is like at the kitchen, and Nicole stops, and you can literally see her mind going, maybe I should say something. Like, what do I say? And you can just see her wheels turning, and it looks like she's about to say something to Laura, like I need help, or do you have time to talk? And then she like pulls it back, and it's like, nah, it's cool, you know.
yeah.
And then I guess that sort of leads into the scene where like Nicole is crying and Laura goes to comfort her, and that's when the dad finds out that they've been sleeping together. But yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty intense. It is, yeah, overall, I feel like she definitely changes and evolves like later on.
Yeah.
The stepmom, like it's not as like hostile as it was before.
Yeah.
And then she like turns to her. Yeah, like that's true. My two are okay. One of mine is the same as yours, as the exchange between David and Steve when he starts punching his chest. I kind of love that. And then I just love the rave at King and Occidental in the beginning. It's just like so 90s. I love all like seeing all the different people and all the outfits and everything that they're wearing. It's just so 90s. The music is so 90s. It's just so cool. Yeah, I just like that whole vibe. And I don't really have any other scenes. I mean, I can't really think of like anything else that I really liked. I really actually do like when they first see David, like when they both see each other.
Oh yeah.
I do like that scene. I always forget about it because it's so early in the movie, but I do like when it's like all three of them, the three friends are at that bar, and like Margot's like, you know, like, come on, let's go. And then when she sees him like that, you're just like, whew, okay.
Yeah.
Like, here's where we're going. All right, so what are your worst scenes? Or least favorite?
Well, the scene where Mario gets sexually assaulted is hard to watch, and
yeah, all of mine are the sexual assault scenes.
Yeah,
Margot and like the rape, the weird like rape thing where she's looking at it, and
like the scene where like again that scene where like that guy and Margot are like making out, and like he like points to Nicole, just like really freaked me out for some reason.
Yeah, that is really really creepy.
And then I have the dog's head.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
I have like David and Nicole in that mall bathroom.
Oh right.
Super terrifying. And then also like Margot and David like outside the car when he confronts her, and then he like pushes her up against the car, and it's just like, how does she know? Did you tell her? Who told her? And she's like, I don't know. And then he's like, you better fix it. And like he just looks really fucking scary. And I was like, oh god. Yeah, those are mine. And do you have any good quotes? I only have one because there's only one that it makes me think of the whole film. What do you have?
I'm trying to think. I don't have the quote, but I just love the way David tears into like Steve.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
It's just like it
Read, the library is open. It's like, read. You want to talk about reading? Reading.
Was your barbecue canceled? Because your grill is fucked.
It's like everything just comes down to like a fucking like drag race meme or just anything. It's just so funny. My only quote is Nicole forever. The tattoo that is definitely going to be the fucking title of this episode, because it's just like everyone knows Nicole forever, like in the prison style, cutting yourself and then putting like Bic pen ink all over your chest, and I was like, this is an excuse to show us like his 8-pack. Like this is nothing more than that, and I am not at all complaining. So
yeah, thank you. For that scene, I just have, maybe I was doing my tattoo wrong this whole time.
I know, right?
Maybe like
Oh god.
I don't know. Like, I've like heard that like the Maori people in like New Zealand have this like tattoo technique that's supposed to be extremely painful, but like it's like supposed to be a very spiritual experience.
Is that like the one that is it similar to the one that Angelina Jolie got in
Yes. Yeah.
Cambodia?
Yeah.
I believe,
Yeah.
yeah, where it's with that reed. I
Yeah.
think it's like a bamboo reed, and I think it's
Yeah.
like yeah, like yeah, that's what I've heard that it's very painful, but I think it's supposed to be probably some form of like almost like meditation or like
Yeah.
outward, like when you're outside of your body, like the pain,
Mhm.
just doesn't affect you as much as if you were like fully conscious of it. I'm assuming I would totally do that. I
Yeah.
don't know that I would get something that big,
Yeah.
but I would totally experience something like that. Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I have for my quotes. And then, do you have any quotes, or do you have your
Uh,
'90s moments?
Not really. I feel like we've covered all of my '90s moments.
Yeah, we have mine was just the whole rave scene is the super '90s, the flyer, the whole nine,
Yeah.
and then the car phone and the Jeep.
Oh my God, how
The
great
biggest
were
one.
car phones? Like they were
So great.
like I don't know.
They were so shitty when they were out because my mom had a portable one and like the battery was like 5 pounds and it would be like in this case and she'd like bring it in the house.
Oh
Like,
wow.
cause she didn't have one that was like attached to the car. It was like a portable one that you just put in the gas, the what is it, cigarette lighter,
Yeah.
and then you just like had it in the car, so she could take it like somewhere else, or like it was like a cell phone, but it was like having a giant ass battery attached to it. So I remember the case that it had, and I remember her like bringing it in and out, and it was like, whoa, there's a phone in the car.
My
Like,
my dad had one of the ones that were like installed in the car, and
yeah, like that one in the
yeah.
movie. Yeah.
Um and and
Do you ever use it a lot? I feel like people didn't use it that much.
like I think they were pretty expensive, but
Yeah, and like it would charge you a lot.
like he just like use it to call me, say, hey, I'm in the car, I'm like 10 minutes away, you should probably,
Oh no.
I hope you're ready,
Oh, sweet.
yeah.
Cool. But yeah, that's all we have for fear. Do you have any more notes?
No, I don't think so.
Nice. Oh, this was so fun. I'm really
Yeah,
excited. I hope you
yeah, it
made
was
it all
cool.
the way through. If you did, like and subscribe, and give us any shout outs, or I'm gonna do a poll probably to see what else we should do next. But we're gonna do another like problematic film. We're kind of keeping in this like problematic weirdo or erotic thriller, and the next one we're gonna do is The Crush.
Yay.
Stone. So look out for that one. It'll be coming soon. And yeah, thanks for listening, and we will see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.